forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm great, Ranjeet. How you doing today?
Wonderful, wonderful. So what do we have today, actually?
Beautiful. We'll just jump right in. And thank you guys for attending and watching this later on at your leisure. This first question comes from a call that I had with a potential aspirant. And the question is it possible to know which criteria would need to be fulfilled in order to get approved for EB-1A based on simple factors such as my current field, role, or position at a company, or things like annual salary, etc., for somebody who hasn't not yet started working on their criteria?
I mean, my straight, one, two-word answer would be absolutely not. Actually, it won't be possible in that sense. In fact, two people with the same degree of expertise may have a different criteria also, actually. Because you don't get EB-1A because you're fulfilling the criteria. You get EB-1A because you're an expert, your expertise is beneficial to the US, and you will continue in that field of expertise. Only if these three things are kind of, matter actually. Now, if you're trying to reverse engineer in the beginning that, oh, I want to fulfill this criteria, in fact, it just falls apart. Because the idea behind application for, we have seen people who even fulfilling 8 criteria and still getting rejected, 5 criteria and still getting rejected. You don't have to fit into the criteria have to fit into your profile. So unless and until you know that you have done certain things like, you have a patent, you have certain kind of projections that can be manifested as, let us say, as a critical role or as an original contribution or a judging, I think reverse engineering in the beginning would be not a very good idea.
Gotcha. A simple follow-up to that exact question. Are there typical or specific criteria that are commonly fulfilled based on fields? So like, for example, do AI software engineers typically fulfill things like patents, publications, and awards? Does anything fit into that type of model?
I think that's a very fair question, actually. Yes, I mean, you can say that mostly what we have seen is that, but that doesn't happen straightforward in one discussion that we do. If someone has patent, definitely it can go into original contribution if that has had an impact on the field. So that would be kind of pretty straightforward, depending on how many scholarly articles the person has written and whether some of the things can go into scholarly articles. If a person has been high earning executive working with a company, I mean, it could go as a critical role, definitely actually. But those are more of a hypothesis to kind of have a safety net in the beginning rather than a standalone strategy based on the criteria that I would say that actually that won't be a good idea. But yes, I mean, fairly, because everybody who comes to us would be closer to the salary criteria and the critical role criteria.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This next question comes in anonymously, submitted in advance. Can patents that have not yet been granted be included as evidence in an EB-1A petition?
I mean, before we give the answer, I would like to say the patents are not mandatory for EB-1A itself actually. So whether the patents have been granted or not granted does not make any impact. So, but however, in the patents normally would go into original contribution. Now, original contribution criteria says significant original contribution. I mean, it has to be significant original contribution, significant to the field. So it basically means the significance to the field is measured by an academic impact or an application impact. So the whether you have a patent or not, but if you have because everything that you do, patent is nothing but a framework, a system, an ecosystem. If that framework is not kind of patented, still it can go. That's the first thing that I want to tell you. And if the patent has not been granted, still it can go. And even if it is a patent fully awarded, but if it does not have an impact, it is not necessary that it would work. So it is a both ways round actually that you have to see. So
Wonderful.
answering your question straightforward here, patent, whether it is granted or not granted, can be used for EB-1A.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The third question also comes in anonymously. Does being invited to speak at an industry conference help an EB-1A case, even if I wasn't or you aren't the keynote speaker?
Absolutely. I mean, the keynote speaker is just a kind of a positioning that has happened during the event based on your, based on the invitees that have been kind of invited to be as a speaker. But if you are just a speaker submitting some documents, some papers, I think that's good enough actually. There was a USCIS policy manual to that effect, and it did not speak about, it did not challenge or it did not speak about the fact that one needs to be a keynote speaker in that case.
Gotcha. Speaking on this specifically with delivering a talk, what is a typical timeline once you discover that doing a speaking engagement would absolutely support your petition case? Once you decide or we figure that out together, what is a typical timeline or the average timeline of finding out which conference to speak at, getting in touch with the right individuals, being able to craft your actual talk, as well as eventually showing up? Is there kind of a median timeline from once you know that that's something that you need to, a criteria that you need to fulfill, of like the average length of time to actually fulfill that?
It depends on field to field because there are always conferences happening around the world actually. It all depends where you are there are conferences by government agencies, there are government conferences by private enterprises, by associations, by states, by different agencies, by educational institutions. It all depends on, at one point or the other, some of the other thing is always happening. But I think your question pertains to the fact that if you were to try to reach out to somebody to have a particular speaking engagement, I think it would take roughly around 2 to 3 months time frame.
Gotcha. I had this question before, and this wasn't submitted, but do virtual speaking engagements count?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
In fact, again, there was, after COVID, there was a notification again by USCIS that you can kind of give a transcript of what you spoke, and if it is submitted as a paper, definitely it can be deemed to be a criteria. It could be used in the criteria.
Gotcha. And you had touched on something which is pretty important. We're talking about EB-1A specific with the impact within the United States, right? So with that, if we're doing publications, if we're doing speaking engagements, how important is it that these publications are published within the United States, or the speaking engagements happen within the United States?
It's not about United States. I mean, I think maybe I think I was not very clear about it. It is the impact on the field.
Gotcha.
It has not. One can be in Nigeria and would not have stepped their feet on the US soil also. Still, that is good enough actually. So it doesn't matter, but what has been the impact on the field, that will matter actually. One can be in any part of the world and still kind of create an impact on any discipline, and that's more important.
Gotcha. Fourth question comes in anonymously as well. I'm a software engineer at Apple, and some of the systems I've worked on have had a significant impact internally, but the projects aren't publicly visible. How can someone prove the importance or impact of this type of work specifically for EB-1A?
Yeah, we have seen this happening actually with a lot of companies. Let's say you're working with Coke and you are the one who has, kind of structured the Coke formula itself actually. You don't have to give the Coke formula to USCIS, but at least saying that you were the one who created it and what has been the impact of that, and giving specific metrics should help actually. It's pretty true. We have dealt with a lot of people, David, you're aware of that in our program. People do have to have from certain FANG companies and MANG companies, wherein people had certain limitations in terms of disclosing their details about the projects, what they did for their companies. But it is very much possible. That's not a challenge at all actually.
Wonderful. And then our last and final question, also coming in anonymously. I'm a senior technology professional and recently joined an industry advisory board where I provide technical guidance. Can advisory board experience help supporting with EB-1A, and what would I need to show specifically about my role?
I mean, it's not about just an advisory board. Prima facie, the answer to that, I'm inclined to give answer as affirmative. Yes, it would definitely help, but what has been the impact because of the work that you have done? What would matter more actually? If there is no impact, then you may be a president of a company, it would not make any difference. If you are on a president of an advisory board also, I mean to say, but if you have been on an advisory board and if your presence has created a significant impact, the evidences that would matter is, what made them select you, what was the pool of the people from where you got selected, how often did you interact with them, what was the mode of interaction, and sort of things like that would be beneficial actually to you.
Brilliant. Is there anything else that you felt like you wanted to add or share, Ranjeet?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things which advisory board, if it has been there, it would possibly, in my view, can go into a judging criteria actually. And that's very important for people to know, because I mean, I think there are a lot of people, people understand that there has been a lot of percentage, in terms of percentage, the approval rate has slightly gone down in terms of, that's what we are looking at the statistics. But please understand that superficial applications won't matter actually. What matters is the proper impact that you have done to the field. I again repeat, if your every initiative, if your every criteria, be it judging, be it being in Apple or being an industry conference, what has been the impact of that? People look at only initiatives, number of initiatives, and they feel that, oh, this is something that can work for them. That's not the right way to do.
What is the highest level and or proper way to do it?
The proper way to do it is to kind of focus on your expertise and how US will benefit out of it actually. So you went for a conference, okay, fine, you did something for Apple, so what actually? So what did you do? So in terms of what were the success metrics, in terms of revenue, it could be in terms of a social impact, it could be in terms of saving resources, it could be in terms of creating a new expertise. So I mean, let's say for example, if somebody were to be a data transfer expert or a blockchain expert in 2009, the blockchain expert can be used in multiple other ways in today's world actually. It can be used for data mining, it is used for cryptocurrency, it is used for multiple other things. So you need to present that a future to them actually. You also need to show that your expertise has a future. Not only you are trying to create something. Extraordinary Ability Visa, EB-1A, is the world's toughest immigration green card actually. And every country has their way of attracting talented individuals, be it in Australia, be it in UK, be it in European Union, China. All developed countries are seeking the best of the talent. It's a war for talent actually, and US is also not left behind. Please understand that the adjudicator sitting out there is looking for certain success metrics out of that actually, is looking to see the impact out there. Is unlike a B1, B2 visa, the presumption is not that you are not good. The presumption is always that you are good, and then try to look at it. So unless you prove otherwise, you are not going to get it. That's what my message would be actually to people around.
Thank you. What would you say that Next League program does specifically to reinforce supporting and expediting a more speedy approval, or any sort of systems or processes or frameworks that we use specifically within the Next League program?
Absolutely. We have this D.O.N.E process actually, which is a patented process. We try to focus on a very kind of incisive sharpness in terms of what USCIS is looking for, in terms of defining your expertise, in terms of organizing the criteria, in terms of nurturing the gaps, and then executing the overall petition that you do actually. So we tell you, in fact, in the last, going from the back to the front, initially, before you go to an attorney, you need to have all your evidences in order with proper frameworks and everything. That happens in the execute and nurture phase. Before that, all your criteria have to be properly organized. You can't go to an attorney and say that, look, here is my resume, because resumes are created for jobs actually. They are not created for, for EB-1A purposes. And then before you do that, you have to define your field of endeavor in a most articulate manner. That we do this in the first go itself actually. So you can't go the reverse, but you have to go from defining your expertise, organizing the criteria, nurturing the gap, and then executing your petition. And that's the way we follow. And we have seen that people spending roughly around 8 to 12 months time frame in this have been pretty successful actually to do this. You need to be meticulous, you need to be organized, you need to be more systematic, incisive, sharp. You require a certain mindset actually. So that's all I have to say at this moment. And thank you very much for watching. And if you'd like to submit your own questions, please reach out to David and I. And if you're trying to figure out your experience and impact and translate into EB-1A filing, and if you want to join the program, reach out to David. He's the Director of Admissions with us, or I, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
Wonderful. And if you want to submit any questions for the upcoming next Saturday Q&A, just like this, you can submit those anonymously. There'll be a link below. If you'd like a profile review to see where you stand and if EB-1A is the right path for you, you can also book that with the link below. And if you feel like you're ready to get started in the EB-1A pathway and are seeking the best coaching within the industry, you are coachable, decisive, and ready to put in 8 to 12 hours per week of work in order to make this happen for you, your family, and career, click the link below and book a discovery call with me, and we'll take it from there. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Wonderful, and have a great weekend, guys. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions or need personalized guidance, please reach out to us. We are here to help you every step of the way in your journey towards achieving your American dream. Let's connect and make it happen together.